going to start with diphtheria because nobody even knows what diphtheria is anymore. It's not really a disease that's around. And it's caused by a bacteria. And if you get the infection, the bacteria can release a toxin. And the toxin can cause some inflammation of the heart. And if it's really severe, it could cause some paralysis of the soft palate, which makes it difficult to swallow. Okay? Death can be up to 10% without medical care, and that's really the optimal thing here when it talks about without medical care, because where are pockets of diphtheria remaining in the world are places like, the most recent outbreak of diphtheria was about 900 and some people, was when the USSR broke apart, and so it was in Russia in a population of chronic alcoholics, homeless people, okay, so because they didn't have any medical care. And so that was the last outbreak, and that was maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Okay. So there are several different strains of this particular type of bacteria, and most of the strains do not release the toxin. Now this is really key. When I investigated this, I found this really interesting. Only when that very specific type of bacteria that has the capability to release the toxin is infected by a virus, then is that bacteria going to be able to release the toxin. So you have to have a specific bacteria that gets infected by a virus that makes it be able to release the toxin. Now out there in like the world, you know, you're trying to get a bacteria and a virus to get together here in order to make the bacteria deadly. I mean, I just found that pretty amazing when I started reading that, because I mean, I didn't know much about diphtheria. You don't see cases of it anymore. And so I never really spent much time reading about it until I started reading the background of the disease base for the vaccine. So what's the incidence? Well, it's gone down. Like I said, you hardly ever see it anymore. In that 20 years, there were about 3 cases per year in the United States. And how do you treat it? Well, it's treated with erythromycin or with penicillin, which is another reason why you don't see it very much, because, gosh, maybe if you did get exposed to diphtheria, if you go in with a sore throat, what's the first thing the doctor does? Gives you an antibiotic, okay? The wide use of the vaccine began around 1948, and that was about the same time that we started widespread use of antibiotics for everything. And since most sore throats today are treated with antibiotics, and diphtheria is sensitive to most of the prescribed antibiotics, then is the real reason for the disappearance of the disease from the vaccine, or is the real reason for the disappearance of the vaccine because we use antibiotics for everything? Maybe we don't even need that vaccine. You know, do children, and if we do they need 5 doses? Do they need a dose at 2, 4, 6 months a year and before they start school for something that you see 3 cases a year and gets treated with antibiotics? I'm not even sure why we do that. Really, that information is just astonishing to me, because the death rate from diphtheria was down here when the vaccine was started. So it's just like a lot of the other things. I mean, and these numbers, this is a really pretty good website, this healthsentinel.com. I mean, if you really want that graph, that's where you get that from. And they are compiled from the government health statistics. So these aren't just somebody's, you know, guesstimate. All of these graphs come from government, the statistical data that the government collects every year on all of the infectious diseases.